I bet you didn't know you can negotiate conservation easements. Listen to Jared Van Hees share his purchasing process with a northern Michigan property that had a conservation easement on it and how he was able to achieve his goals and also the nonprofit organization's goal too. So really interesting conversation, something to have in the back of your mind the next time you see a property listed with a conservation easement. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. My name is Jake Hofer. I'm the co-owner of Exodus and a real estate broker here in the state of Illinois. And today I'm actually giving away a few books from my buddy Pat Porter, who has written a ton of these shorter books that have a lot of jam-packed information in them. I'm sending them for free to anyone that signs up for the email newsletter in the description below. I'll send you a personal email and I'll ship it out for free. So I hope you guys take advantage of that. If you enjoy the video, show a little love, hit that like button and subscribe. Now let's get right into it. Prior to you buying it, they bought it, a few months before. Was it like a nonprofit?
It's a nonprofit, and I think they bought it for I want to say like $230. And then we ended up getting it for $250. So it's like they made some money on it in a couple months, some good money for 2 months of
holding it,
not doing much. But with that, their goal is to put these easements in place. And if they can put another 70 acres under their umbrella of easement, that's their goal. If they can protect another 5,000 acres this year, that's their goal. They were kind of apprehensive at my deal, at my negotiation, and my offer, because it probably wasn't as great as they'd hoped. But they checked their box of putting another property in an easement. They checked their box of being profitable, and they checked their box of selling it to somebody who is like-minded. And I was able to negotiate all kinds of things in my favor into this easement, which I think a lot of people don't even know that you can do.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
The only time you can cut trees is if you get an approved forester, get a plan written. They'll trust an approved forester's recommendations over theirs, right? They're not foresters. They're not, they didn't go to school for that. So they'll take advice from other places and let you log your woods. You have to have a plan in place. Now there was no, we call them wildlife cuts or even food plots in the easement. So I'm thinking I need food. It's in an area where there's a lot of timber. So that was one of my negotiations. I put in, I think if I remember, I'm allowed to put like 7 acres of food. So 10% was my goal on that. 10% of the property in food. And wildlife clearings, where we just go and take the trees down and open up the canopy. We talk about that on your podcast. You'll hear me talk about that all the time. It's improved for wildlife habitat. And so I tried to ask for more deer blinds. I asked for a road system around the property that I can build.
And they were okay with that?
I aim for the moon, figuring I'd settle somewhere in the middle, right? Yeah. But I got most of what I was looking for. And like I said, they were a little apprehensive. They're like, man, this guy wants to go do a bunch of stuff we don't want him doing, like clearing out 7 acres of woods. We like the woods. We don't want to cut the trees. And I'm like, well, we're hunting and we need to cut the trees. So I was able to get a lot of things my way, which is the only reason I would have purchased a properity. If they weren't going to budge on that sort of thing, then I wouldn't be there. Yeah,
when you're what does it look like when you're negotiating that too? So is that this did you just attach that to your offer, and in order for this offer to go through, it's contingent on you guys agreeing on, us both agreeing on something along these lines?
Yes. And how the majority of it played out though was just back and forth in emails.
Okay.
Me and the main guy there. I had my list of 15 things. He'd come through and go, yeah, that's probably not going to happen. Yeah, that's reasonable. Sure. You can go on down the list. How about we do, 4 deer blinds is enough, that sort of thing. You can use tree stands. I'm like, I know, I'm aiming high. Right. So all these different things, and we just kind of hashed it out. There really was not, I cannot think of one thing in my head right now that is like a real thing I really wish I would have had. If anything, it'd be like digging a small pond. There's already a natural waterway that runs through the property. They don't want me digging holes and messing with that. I'm okay. It's my bedding area sanctuary anyways. So I gave a little bit on that, but other than that, I'm walking it with a forester next week to start cutting. So they were able to help me out. And
so could you put a water hole in? Could you put a 50-gallon water hole in?
Yeah, I think so. And that's the sort of thing that it depends on the scale of what you're trying to do. So what I did, being that we draw up these habitat plans for our clients, at the podcast,
Yeah.
I just drew up one of those. And I said, here's where I want food plots. Here's where I want my cuts. Here's where we're going to do the trail system and the road system, and sent it to them. And they were blown away. They're like, nobody ever does anything like this. Like, we have to, we might get like a drawing on a napkin or something. And then we have to go, find out the guy cut much, get enough for them. And that is like, but what you did, I'm going to take this in front of our board. We're going to vote on it, all this stuff. I'm like, oh boy, I hope I did that right. And they were very impressed.
When you go in to make these improvements, do they have to, are they monitoring it? Because I assume the conservation easements recorded to the deed, correct?
It is recorded to the deed, and they monitor it one time a year, unexpected.
Okay, so they just go, so they're sending someone from their nonprofit out to go out and like, oh, yep, he's doing things he said he would.
Exactly. And what they did in the very beginning, they did what's called a baseline document, where they walked around and took like 150 pictures from all these different points on the property. Yeah. And now they know if Jared goes down and builds a pond, that pond wasn't, oh yeah, it was. The pond was there. And no, it wasn't. So they have their ways. Yeah, it makes it easy. The environmentalists, the Nature Conservancy people, the very green people, they're not much different than people like you and I who really want to just take care of the land and see it, beautiful. We can align on some things here, right? That was my goal.
And there is way more common ground than what I think maybe diehard hunters think, and then diehard, environmentalists think, and which is kind of refreshing, or it just shows that good habitat is good for everything.